Yeah.
Boomer move. I'm mute. I'm on mute.
There you go.
Uh, so long story short, I'm from Boca Raton, Delray Beach, Florida, and I've lived here my whole life. I'm 37 now. Time keeps on ticking, ticking, ticking into the future.
Yeah.
Uh, and I was a bartender. Do you want me to tell that part of the story?
Hey,
You got
get
more?
it. Absolutely. Let's go. Because
All
I
right.
think
So,
it's all related.
so the story is my parents lose their job in the recession. I was in college, so I moved home. Um, bring it full circle. I moved home to help my parents, and then yesterday I bought my mom a house. So
I saw
pretty.
that, and I thought that was pretty cool. The closing of the door was that of her. What was that? The condo or
That
where
was her
living?
old condo, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Again, that's
So
beautiful.
so moved home when I was 22 to help my parents make it through the recession, and got into bartending, and was just kind of meandering, like kind of sleepwalking through life till I was about 26, 27. And then I got a bartending gig in downtown Delray, and really started to become somebody in town. And I would see these idiots come in. They were called realtors. I don't know, they didn't seem to know anything. And they would just come in the bar and schmooze. And it seemed like they drove nice cars and had some clout in the city. And I was like, oh, all right. I mean, I'm smarter than these jabronis. I can figure this out. And so when I was 31, was dating the daughter of a billionaire. And I said, well, she's not going to marry a bartender. So I better figure something out here.
Mm.
Uh, and I decided to take up real estate. Um, and I thought that was about all I was going to do, is take up real estate in an office and do nothing. But I realized that quickly, how much authenticity and just being yourself works in this business. Um, and that was something I took from bartending and immediately transferred. And so my first year, I sold 9 million in homes. And then my second year, I think 26. My fourth, I was a MREA, millionaire real estate agent, sold 43 million in homes. So now I'm just really focused on life by design and how to make sure that that money wasn't made in vain.
Amen. So uh, are you with the same woman? Let's ask that first.
I am not.
Okay.
So
I didn't think so. I didn't think
yeah, I met a girl when I was about 6 months into real estate. So I just started to get a few deals under my belt. And she would, you know, I love talking about this because I don't know where everybody on this call's at, but when you're thinking about creating a team, you have to hire. And I think so much of dating is like hiring. And I spent the first 30 something years of my life hiring anybody who wanted me, right? Oh, you take this job? Well, sure, come on down. You know, you pass the pass fail looks test, and that's about all I needed. I thought that you could make any relationship work because I figured everyone was a good person like me, or was kind of like that. And listen, my ex fiance was a great person, but I didn't do the upfront work to hire correctly and figure out that we just were never going to be compatible. If I had sat down for 2 hours and thought about that at any point, I would have realized this isn't going to be it. And so about a year in, I had the COVID happened about 3-4 months into us dating. And so we were hitched at the hip, we were stuck in a house together. And about a year in, I went, this ain't going to be it. And then 2.5 years after that, I said, all right, this really isn't going to be it, I'm going to end this. um, but so important as you guys look to maybe hire an assistant or do something like that, to do the upfront work, to know who you are, so know what they're getting into and know what you can provide, and then know who they are to know if y'all are gonna kind of jive together. I think it's super important.
well, and I think that's a great message there that again, hiring for, the right position, it's like dating. And if you don't do the upfront work, then you know what, we're gonna have a mishire. And then all of a sudden we're quick to fire. I think you were a little slow in doing that. and I think you would agree, but that's okay. It's all good. So, what did Richie say? Yeah, yeah, right, Chris. It's difficult to do, and I can tell you that you know the best hire I've ever made. She's in Germany now. Probably the reason why that we've got a smaller audience now because you know I'm responsible for doing everything, and clearly I don't do it properly, but that's okay. That's okay. It's all good. So now the beautiful young lady I see, is that the new fiance or are you married now?
Yeah, we're still fiance. September 1st, we get married.
Okay.
And
Oh,
so when I ended that last relationship, right, I did all the things what Richard said. How do you find out about that hire? And don't waste time. A mentor of mine said to me after the last relationship, he said, people don't change 6 months into a relationship. That's not what happens. They try and be somebody they're not on day one. And then after 6 months to a year, they just can't be that person anymore. You can't wait. And I think the same thing goes in real estate, in trying to sell home. You can fake being somebody because you think that's what your clients want, but only for so long. You can't run a sustainable business on the B version of somebody else's personality. Just be an A version of yourself and your tribe will come to you. You know, the thing about all everybody on this call is I know we all can look at another person and say, I don't know what's going on, but I know that person's not telling me the truth. We all got it in us. You've been there, right? You're like, I know something's fishy here, right? I had a client. I brought her a full price offer on a property that we'd listed for her. And when I called her, I told her about it. She goes, okay, I'm going to talk to my husband. I'll get back to you. And I was like, all right, whoa, what's going on? Tell me what's really happening. She's like, no, I just want to talk to him. And they go, you know what? They called me back 2 hours later. That's just not the right offer for us. What? 2 months down the road, I find out there's a whole host of other issues going on. But I knew, right? We know when people are lying to us.
yeah.
So don't be that person who's lying to other people. Go out there, be yourself, and the world will resonate with that. I mean, I don't know what you guys believe in, but I believe in vibrations. I believe that we're all a resonance, and when you're operating at a BS frequency, right? People are just like, this is off, something's off, and then they don't want to work with you. So if you keep being yourself, you'll get much more clients. And so people always say, like, how do you just be you so often? You're just authentic every day, all day. And it's because it's always worked.
Hmm.
I've never had to be anybody else because being yourself is actually the superpower.
It's enough, without a doubt. And Justin, I will say that once we met, and I think we met at Fall Masterminds in Phoenix, then fortunately ran a couple of weeks ago. I started paying attention, and again, I think this is very related to what you just said. I think your popularity on the platforms is because you're just who you are. And I can say this respectfully and say that you're just a goofy mother, right? And again, I think people love that. And I'm sitting here going, I told folks, I'm like, I can't wait for Tuesday because I get to chat with one of my boys that I've hung out with that I'm like, he's just a fun loving dude, right? Who enjoys life. And I think that's what resonates with your audience and it's why you've been so successful in that space.
Yeah, and listen, they're exactly what you said. I'm a goofy mother effer, right?
That's
And the truth is, that's not going to work for everybody.
right. Right.
But I don't know what y'all's lifestyles are like, but I don't have to sell every house.
Right.
I just got to sell a few of them.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I probably have to sell more than most people in here because I got a team now and I have all these things, but you will, I always liken it to when you're in high school, right? And there's, maybe 3,000, 4,000 kids in your high school. And it's like, oh, I just don't feel like I have the right place here. It doesn't all add up. But then you go to a bigger college and maybe there are 10,000 or 15,000 people. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, I see some people who are really like me here. And I can kind of pair up. Well, the world's like that. If you're yourself, the tribe will come to you. You'll find your people. It doesn't matter where you live, what you're doing. I mean, listen, you know, you might not want to be like a Jewish person in Palestine looking for it. So I might not go live there, but I'll in Boca Raton. I'm doing just fine.
You're good. You're good. Let me ask you this, because I know that you've been so successful on the platforms. Is Instagram your number one source? Because I know between Facebook and Instagram, and then do you play in that TikTok space? And then again, I just heard that there's been a ruling or something about TikTok. So speak to that briefly.
Yeah. So my number one is Instagram. I'm very, very heavy on Instagram, but my life is interesting because when I was finishing high school, it was the first year ever of Facebook. Facebook came out in 2004. I graduated high school in 2005. So Facebook became my CRM. I didn't know I needed a CRM then, right? Like no one was like, hey, you better put people in your Facebook and then keep up with them. And then in 15 years, you're going to be a great real estate agent because of it, right? But what ended up happening was I genuinely like people. So I followed everybody on Facebook from my high school that I had talked to, was friendly with, and I kept up with them. And so then Instagram came out, I think like maybe 2012, 2011. And so I got on there. I was like, oh, this is fun. I'll make pictures. I want you guys to hear this. I am 0% creative. Like I'm a high I in the disc. I'm very out there and outgoing. But something that makes someone a good artist for the most part is just failing, then failing better, then failing faster, then failing better, and learning from that process, right? So I went on Instagram and I started making videos, and I think it was just pictures at that time, and trying to do all that. And I just had fun with it, right? It goes back to the authenticity, just doing it for the pure pleasure of it. When you start to do something for money, it takes away a lot of the joy of it and fairness, right? That's been studied over and over again. You could, you know, I just was listening to a podcast today. They gave all these engineers this thing. They said, you have to build the highest tower. And they gave them string, marshmallows, hard spaghetti, uncooked spaghetti, and one other thing, and tape. And they said, build the highest tower you can build with this. They had a bunch of engineers do it, doctors do it, teachers, and 5-year-old kids. You know who did it the best? 5-year-old kids. Because they don't care if they mess up. They just go out and they do it. Second, you start doing something for your money, you're starting to worry about what society's going to say about it, what's going to happen. But if we can go back and find that joy, like who were we as kids? What did we want to do? What made us feel alive? That will resonate with all of our clients. That will resonate through your social media. That'll resonate on everything. So, in terms of social media, it's for me, Instagram and Facebook are the two best because they create a moat around your database. And judging by what I'm seeing of the age range on this call, I don't think you're going to I don't think it's the age range where you're trying to get new clients, right? I think it's kind of where you're trying to I got enough people in my database. If I just work on them, I should sell enough homes, right? And if I was 25, maybe I'd be on TikTok, but I'm 37. I'll do this for 5, 10 more years, right off into the sunset. So for me, it's always been about creating a moat around my database. And the best way to do that is Facebook and Instagram, because on Instagram, anybody you meet at a bar, you could have follow you on Instagram, right? You post basic stuff general stuff about your life, general stuff about your business. And so anybody can get plopped in there and they could follow your life kind of passively, right? That same person you meet at a bar wouldn't be someone you followed on Facebook, right? They're not really a friend. They're just kind of an acquaintance. So that goes more in the Instagram pile. And then so I have my family and my friends from high school, my people from real estate, those people are on my Facebook. Then everybody's on my Instagram. If I met you at a bar, if I met you at a real estate conference, if we're best friends, those are all on my Instagram. Now, those two have the best messenger platforms. So it is easy to converse with your followers on Instagram and Facebook. TikTok is very hard to converse with your followers. There's not as much of the DMing. There's not as much of that interaction. It's more like, here's my content, like it, but most people really aren't going to follow you unless you're putting out consistent business content, and that's all they want to see. So I don't think TikTok is for most people on this call, and it's definitely not for me.
That's good to hear because I thought it was last week. I heard that the president signed some. I think they're trying to sell it to someone. And again, I don't play in that space, so I was just curious if you do. So, and I agree that most of my friends that have joined in today, we just don't play in that space at all. So, kudos. So, briefly, talk to me about your travel and where did that come from?
Yeah, so year 3 in real estate, I make $1,050,000. After taxes, I probably make about 800 grand. And after taxes and expenses, I make about 800 grand. And I sold a house and I made 300,000 on that. So I netted $1.1 million in 2021. And I wasn't happy. I didn't, the person, my significant other wasn't supporting me. I'd come home with a $90,000 check and she'd think it was competition. That wasn't going to work. I was working myself to death. I didn't know how to delegate properly. I was too stressed and too busy to even show up for the people I was delegating to. And I wasn't doing any of the things I like to do. So I sat down and I said, what do I like to do? I like to impact lives. I like to talk and mentor and help people. I'm a huge advocate of getting outdoors and playing sports and going on hikes. I wasn't doing any of that. So I signed up for a tennis league. I hadn't played tennis since I was 7. Just signed up for a league, got coaching once a week, went to clinics. I bought a house in Asheville, North Carolina. I go there once a quarter for a week. I just started doing the things that if you had told 10-year-old Justin, 15-year-old Justin, hey, you're going to have all this money, what would you do with it? I started just going and doing that stuff because so many people make money. And I don't know where everyone is on this call financially, but I'll tell you this, one thing I learned and I've seen over and over again is when people make money, they start to hoard that money. Money almost makes you more stressed because now you're worried about losing it. So the one thing I've always tried to do is keep my bills low so that I never have to worry like, oh, if I don't do this deal tomorrow, I'm going to be stressed, right? And the other thing is I'm going to go do what I want to do and I'm going to spend this money because one of my favorite quotes, I've never seen a hearse pull on a trailer full of cash, right?
Right.
It doesn't matter. It's how you make people feel. So one of my favorite things to do is come on calls like this and give back. And so whether it's 12 people or 2,000 people, to me, it's just so important that I share how authenticity has changed my life and how social media platforms have helped me get in front of so many people.
And I'm so appreciative of you giving us a few minutes of your time because, after meeting you, I just thought, you know what, he's no different than most of us. He's just fun loving. He enjoys life, and that shines through. And it's the reason for your success. And I love the fact that you still embrace the 10-year-old, the 15-year-old Justin, because many of us, we've forgotten about those kids, right? The things that made us tick, that made us happy, right? Now we feel like, well, we're adulting and we forgot about that. And I think, no, what you've said is so important. No, we need to embrace who we were as kids, the things that brought us joy. Those are the things that are going to bring us joy as adults, especially I see some of my best friends on this call, and we're all very mature. We've got you by at least 20 years, right? And some of us, we've forgotten. We've been working so hard, right, Richie? We've been working so hard. and now I think it's time that we start enjoying some of the fruits of our labor. So I appreciate you bringing that to the forefront so that we don't forget it, right? Because it's important. So
It is.
there's at least 10 or 20 other things that we could talk about, but there was something that you and I talked about in San Antonio, Justin, that I've not forgotten, and you will have forgotten it maybe. We were sitting on the couch and you were talking about maybe in the next 5 years, 10 years, when you ride into the sunset, um, kids and the time that you are able to spend with kids. That resonated with me, being a parent myself and having lost a child. Where did uh, again, and I don't even know how to articulate this properly, but I can tell that family is important to you for what you were willing to do for your parents to come home, support, help. You help mom, buy a place. I know that kids are something that you want, and you believe a certain way in spending time and bring and raising those kids. Where did that just come from, mom and dad, or I can just tell it's something that you were passionate about. So
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, I have the two best brothers, the two best parents I think that have ever walked the planet. Um, they're not without their faults. Speaking of walking the planet, I can't get my mom or my dad to walk around the block one time. So if anybody's got any tips there, please. I've tried every guru tactic I got in the book. I told my dad the other day, just wake up and walk to the stop sign and back. That's all you got to do. Come on, give me something.
yeah.
Um, but they were so, they sacrificed part of their lives to make sure that me and my brothers had the best lives possible. And I just think that I mean, that's what, at some point, that's what life's all about, right? Life is all about I mean, the basis of life is procreate, keep the species going, as like primitive as that sounds, right? That is most of the reason we're here, to procreate, keep this species going. So why wouldn't you, make sure that you're in the best position to spend time with your offspring, to make sure that they're as well adjusted to this world as possible. And, I haven't been a parent. I don't know what it's like, but if you were going to run a marathon next week, you wouldn't go, or next year you're going to run a marathon. You wouldn't go, I'm not going to learn anything about marathons till I start running. No, you're going to start practicing to run. Me and my fiance have been practicing. You're going to start reading books about marathons, or at least watching some YouTube videos about what's the best way to hydrate. Parenting is one of the only things I've ever heard people say to me, no, we'll just figure it out. Like, it's innate. You just, when it happens, we'll know. It's like, what? As it blows my mind. I guess it's like real estate. We all kind of just get our license and then go, oh, what is this thing? I learned a lot about law in that exam, but none of that's ever come up. But I think being a parent is like so important, and that's all kids need, right? Kids need boundaries, and they need to know that their parents love them. And my parents, for all of their flaws, there wasn't a day I doubted whether they loved me or not. And so I just want to make sure that I can give that feeling to my kids. And so one of the reasons I had to leave bartending, I simplify it for the story, but one of the reasons I'd been trying to leave bartending for years was it's very hard to be a bartender and a good dad, right? Kid goes to school from whatever, 8 to 3, and then you go to work at 4 and you work till midnight. That's not going to work, right? I want to see my kids. I want to help them grow. I want to raise them. So that's what's important to me. It's always been what's important to me. And so I'm just everything I can do to make sure that they have the best life possible. The ones that I haven't even started making it.
Absolutely. Well, and that's why it was important for me, because I just felt it. And I probably shared that I'm so fortunate and blessed to have done this for 34, 35 years, because I didn't miss anything. This business afforded me the opportunities to make sure that I was there for PTA. I was coaching National Honor Society, football games, basketball games. I didn't miss a thing. And had I not been in this position for 18 and a half years and then lost my son, I would feel even more devastated than I am because I missed so much time with him. I didn't miss not one important moment, and I was there for even the small moments. And that's what I heard you say, and that's why I asked you about it because I thought, you know what, I love this guy even more because yeah, he's goofy, but he is the type of parent that we all on this call that have kids, we're all exactly the same way, Justin. Everybody here, man. Yeah, we love our kids, right? But we're there for the big moments. We're there for the small moments because this opportunity has afforded us that. We didn't miss the 9 to 5s or the 3 to 10s. We didn't miss any of that. So kudos to you, my brother. When the good Lord blesses you, I I'd like to be Uncle Ben, and trust me, I'm that guy. I'll spoil the hell out of them, right? Hand them right back over to you, right? And they'll be like, "My black uncle, he's cool," right? And I am. So,
Listen, I don't know if my black aunt will be around, so
uh,
they'll be real confused. I got a black aunt, a black uncle, a Filipino one. They won't know what's going on.
love it,
Uh,
love it.
the last thing I want to leave everybody with in terms of social media, because I think it's important because what gets lost in translation these days is that yeah, you don't have to create a ton of content. You don't have to like post 7 days a week. You don't have to make these wild videos. And if you follow me on Instagram, there's some wild videos. But what you do have to remember is to keep social media social, right? It's called social media. So even if you just take 15 minutes every morning to go in there and everybody who comes up, just send them a message of gratitude, right? Say something positive on their, under one of their photos. Just be that person. The world is so full of cynics. If you can be a cheerleader in somebody's life, you can really change their life. So one tactic we use on our team is Facebook will tell you people's birthdays about 7 days in advance. So we go in on every Monday and Thursday and send the last 3 days. So if it's Monday, we're sending next Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, Sundays birthday messages. So 4 days ahead of time, right? And then so 4, 5, 6, and 7 days ahead of time. And then on Thursday, we're sending the ones for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Mhm.
And then right. So we just keep that going. And on Monday, we're going to send Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we're always 3 to 4 days ahead of the birthday, right? And all we say is, hey, Ben, I see your birthday's coming up. What are you most looking forward to in this coming year? Or what are you most proud of from the last, 365 days of your life? We give people a chance to be grateful. And then it also opens up a conversation. So what great lead generation, right? And then if you want to go a step farther, you can start filling up your CRM. Hey, we want to send you a card. We're going green, so we're going to send you an e-gift card, or we're going to send you an e-card. You don't even have to send money, right? You could just send a little thing of you dancing, saying happy birthday. Send it to every person who sends you their email, right? And now you're filling up everyone you have on Facebook. You're now getting their email addresses because at some point when you post on Facebook, they don't see it, but every time you email them, they probably see it, right? So it's a way that we've gotten to be like in gratitude with our people and create positivity in that connection. And the amount of times people have reached out to me and been like, man, A, you're the only person who sent me a card on my birthday. B, your positivity, I was down and your positivity has just changed my life. We all have that power in us. Right. It's not a superpower. We don't have to be Spider-Man and shoot a web out of our arm. We can just shoot positive words out of our mouths and really help people. So if we can spread more love in the world, more connection, and we can do that through real estate, man, y'all make me a happy person.
I love it. Spread more love. And again, my favorite bold quote is success is simple. It's not easy, right? And I think it's funny, even on that birthday thing, I think we're very consistent at that, and we've mailed a hard card to those that we have their address to, and I think it was something goofy like, you know what, we're a winner, and because of our relationship, whatever it is we say, and we've inserted a scratch off, and it's so crazy that that $1 scratch off has generated more conversations, more people reaching back to say thank you than anything that I had done. And I thought, man, it shows that it's the little bitty things. It's not the big parties that I throw. It's none of that. It's that personal touch that makes all the difference in the world. So my brother, I so appreciate your time, and let's get at it. Hopefully, we'll see each other again soon at either Gary's Mastermind or Mega Camp or something coming up. So you've blessed us with your time. You've delivered the meat this week, my brother. Again, I say it every week that yeah, if you didn't get something from Justin today, then that's a you problem because he delivered it. He dropped some nuggets, and again, I think it was just more of a great perspective on life and enjoying life. And you know what? Let's bring out the kid in us. Let's bring it out, right? It's there. Let's bring it out again and let's start having some fun with what we're doing.
Amen.
Perfect. Peace. We'll see.